Have you ever had a toothache? I mean a real one. The kind that hijacks your entire existence. The kind that radiates through your skull, keeps you up at night, and makes you rethink every decision that led you to this point, including eating that suspicious popcorn kernel. Now, imagine feeling that pain in the Middle Ages. No dentists, no anesthesia, no idea what's going on inside your mouth. Just you, your inflamed gums, and a society that thought bleeding was a valid medical treatment for basically everything. Spoiler, it didn't go well. At all. Let's start with who was actually responsible for your dental care back then. It wasn't a trained medical professional with a fancy office and a fish tank in the waiting room. Nope, your options were more along the lines of the local barber, the blacksmith, or a monk who dabbled in medicine between prayers and illuminating manuscripts. Basically, anyone who had hands and wasn't too squeamish. The barber surgeons of the time were the medieval equivalent of a multi-tool. They cut hair, did minor surgeries, performed bloodletting, set broken bones, and, if you were unlucky enough, yanked out teeth with tools they probably used for shearing sheep the day before. These tools weren't sanitized. They were iron, blunt, and often coated in the blood of whoever went before you. Sometimes it wasn't even a proper tool, just pliers, a knife, or even a chisel and hammer. Yes, a hammer. Medieval dentistry had all the finesse of a blacksmith shoeing a horse. Toothaches were incredibly common because oral hygiene just wasn't a thing. Toothbrushes didn't exist in Europe until the late 1600s. Toothpaste? Try crushed bones, charcoal, salt, or, if you were fancy, some herbal concoction that might have made your breath smell slightly less like fermented goat. Most people would just rub a cloth on their teeth, maybe dipped in ashes or vinegar. That's it. And then there was the diet. People ate a lot of coarse, unrefined bread made from flour ground between stones. Those stones often left behind tiny bits of grit in the flour, so every bite you took acted like medieval sandpaper, wearing down your enamel slowly but surely. Add to that meat preserved with salt, overcooked vegetables, and no refrigeration, and you've got the perfect storm for cavities, abscesses, and jaw infections. Oh, and wine and ale were drunk more than water, not for fun, but because water was often unsafe. The acidity from all that alcohol didn't exactly help keep teeth strong. So what did people do when the pain came? They suffered. There was no ibuprofen, no emergency root canals. If the pain became unbearable, the solution was almost always the same. Rip it out. No numbing, no surgical prep. Just a firm grip, a rusty tool, and someone to hold you down. If the tooth was being stubborn, they might crack it in half first to loosen it. Or they'd heat a metal rod and burn the nerve directly. That's right, cauterize your gums from the inside. Some patients passed out from the pain. Others, well, they didn't survive the aftermath. If you were lucky or desperate, you might have tried a folk remedy instead. Some of the most popular included mixtures of onion juice and vinegar, pastes made from honey and crushed herbs, and yes, urine. In fact, urine was a surprisingly common ingredient in medieval medicine. Why? Because it was warm, sterile, fresh, at least, and people thought it had mystical cleansing powers. One recipe even called for applying pigeon droppings to the sore area, because apparently nothing says healing like hot bird poop on an open wound. Other cures involved chewing on cloves, applying hot pepper to the gums, or sleeping with a charm under your pillow. Spoiler, none of it worked. The real danger started after the procedure. With no antibiotics and no understanding of how infections spread, even a simple tooth extraction could turn deadly. The infection could spread to the jawbone, to the face, to the brain. This could result in abscesses that made your entire face swell, fever and chills, followed by delirium and hallucinations, and in many cases, death. People died from what today would be a routine dental visit. Sometimes the infection caused such internal damage that your jawbone would literally rot, a condition known now as osteonecrosis. But back then, it was just called bad luck. Rotten, blackened, or missing teeth were so common that no one even blinked when they saw them. In fact, having all your teeth was so unusual that some thought it was unnatural. If your smile was straight and clean, you might be accused of witchcraft or consorting with demons. No one was brushing their teeth, and those who did were either nobles with access to Eastern hygiene traditions or suspected heretics. Some people even filed their teeth to sharp points for aesthetic or ritual reasons, which caused even more infections. Because why stop at pain when you can have pain with style? And of course, the church had its own take on things. Monks would pray for those suffering from toothaches, often invoking Saint Apollonia, the patron saint of dental pain. She was famously tortured by having her teeth pulled out, so naturally, she became the one to pray to when you started acting up. In more extreme cases, monks would try to cast out demons from the mouth, assuming the pain was caused by evil spirits. They would carve crosses into your gums, pour holy water down your throat, and chant psalms, because nothing soothes nerve pain like a Latin exorcism. It wasn't until 1530 that the first known dental textbook was published in Germany, titled Arznei Buchlein, or the Little Medicinal Book for All Kinds of Diseases and Infirmities of the Teeth. It covered basic dental hygiene, extractions, and even how to clean the teeth of animals. Still, for the average person, nothing changed overnight. Barbers were still dentists. Pain was still inevitable. And you still might die from a cavity. So the next time you're sitting in a clean, air-conditioned dental office, annoyed at the wait time, remember, it could be worse. You could be strapped to a wooden chair, gripping a piece of leather between your teeth, while a man with an apron and a hammer says, "Hold still. This'll only take a minute. Now I want to hear from you. What medieval horror do you think was worse than a toothache? The Black Plague? Boiling oil? Or maybe being excommunicated for using mint? Drop your answer in the comments. I read them all, and who knows? It might inspire the next episode in this series of historical nightmares. If you enjoyed this painfully honest dive into the past, give this video a like. It helps the channel more than pigeon poop helped toothaches. Subscribe for more twisted truths from history, and don't forget to ring the bell, because unlike the Middle Ages, we have notifications now. And remember, brush your teeth seriously.